The Advanced Academic module allows you to record your students' attendance, absence, assessments and progress. You can also produce lists of students who've had continuous absence for over 10 days, which you can then send to agents or the Immigration Office in conjunction with recent UK border agency changes or as per your country's own laws. Having the Advanced Academic module also means that you can make use of the Teacher Portal, which is a separate module allowing teachers to enter their own students' attendance, absence, and also assessment information. This is explained in further detail in the Teacher Portal module video. Attendance is when a student is actually in a class, and this is what you would normally be interested in. For both the attendance and the absence, a student must be classed in order for these to be recorded. If I go into a student's enrolment, you can see under the Bookings tab that Rodrigo is on a General English 25 lessons course comprising of 2 classes, Advanced 2 and English for Special Purposes Computers. This information is also reflected under the Attendance Absence tab, where I've been manually entering this information. Here on the right hand side you can add, edit or delete attendance information, and typically this would be done on a weekly or daily basis, and as a direct result of the figures produced you can then run reports which will highlight which students are failing to reach the required attendance for any given period, and I'll show you more on that later. Assuming that the attendance for the week commencing the 7th of September 2015 has been fully completed, you can see that Rodrigo was scheduled to attend 18 hours and he actually attended 10.5 hours of those. To the right, class has calculated the average attendance, which gives the total for all classes, so in this case Advanced 2 and ESP Computers, and this would normally be the value that is shown on a student's leaving certificate. In this case, 58.33% is Rodrigo's overall attendance. These 3 attendance totals can be picked up within quick reports and documents in class, and therefore you can include these in your class registers, student leaving certificates, and also any Excel reports that you produce from quick reports. With this information to hand, you can now run an attendance report depending on the criteria you wish to see, and in this case I wish to see all of the students in the London school, although you can be specific by course, class and even student. I want to see all the students for the month of September who have completed less than 80% of any class in this time period. You can view the results on screen, and they can also be exported to Excel. Looking at Rodrigo Barbosa, on the left-hand side is the attendance history for his Advanced 2 class, and the value in brackets is the cumulative attendance, with the most recent at the bottom of the list. For his other class, English for Special Purposes, he was also present for less than 80%. If he had attended more than 80% of this class, ESP would not appear on the list. Martina and Delia also have less than 80% attendance on both of their courses. Absence processing was added to class to meet the 2010 UK border agency requirements for mandatory reporting of students who breach their visa conditions by being unauthorised absent from school for more than 10 continuous days. Although this regulation is specific to the UK, every effort has been made to make the process flexible to enable other countries that may have similar regulations to make use of them. You may also consider using absence recording for welfare tracking purposes. So for example, a student who has been absent for 3 days needs to be contacted. Going back into Rodrigo, under the Visa tab, if you want his absence to be checked, You must tick this box and this will allow you to record his absence. Under the Attendance Absence tab here and at the bottom Absence, this shows you a summary or detailed look at the absence types for Rodrigo. The data can be added manually or else via a batch process, which I'll show you later. The Summary tab shows all absence records, whether authorised or unauthorised. It shows each week with the number of absent time slots and also the type of absence. Clicking on Unauthorised Only will narrow it down and show you only the unauthorised absences. The Detail tab shows you each individual time slot, and there is the option to add a note by clicking on the line as I've done here. At the bottom, you can sort this list by date or by class. This is also where you add, edit and delete any absences. This is suitable for single entries, but if, for example, 2 weeks unauthorised holiday is to be entered, rather than making numerous individual entries on this screen, you may find it quicker to do it by batch, which you'll see shortly. Similar to the attendance report, you can also run an absence report, where you can check across all classes, courses, enrolments and schools for continuous unauthorised absence, as determined by yourself, for example, if you want to see all students that have had between 1 to 10 days of absence from the school. So using today's date and checking for those students who've had between 1 to 10 days of continuous absence, class has shown you that Nicole Lands was absent for a week. The Documentation tab then allows you to send letters or documents related to your results. Each student can have documents selected and either sent individually or in batch. Both the attendance and absence can be entered in batch as opposed to one by one via each student's individual enrolment. Class will always assume that all of your students are present 100% of the time, and it is up to you to enter the absences of any of your students, which you would do here. So for example, the fact that Rodrigo was on holiday on Monday has been entered here. Once you've finished entering any absences, if you click on Commit, this will update all of these students' enrolments individually at once. Any students here who are greyed out have not got that visa absence checking box ticked. In this case, because the students are EU students and there is no need to monitor their absence. All of this information can also be exported to Excel if needs be. Under a student's enrolment, the Progress tab enables the academic progress of a student to be recorded and monitored by traditional levels or user-defined categories, for example, speaking, listening, reading, and so on. You can also produce documents which either show the numerical results or a more comprehensive report or certificate if you wish. The classing scores show a history of score and level results. These scores and levels equate to a table that has been set up in the system settings, and the notes could be feedback given by the student's teachers. The student progress shows a more detailed history of a student's progress. The headings, called progress categories, are again defined in the system settings. The assessment interval at the bottom of the screen can be altered manually, but there is also a system setting to determine the normal default, which in this case is 1 month. As with attendance, absence and assessments, which we'll be covering next, progress can also be updated in batch for all students. As an example of an academic document that can be produced, here is a student's leaving certificate. Finally, you also have the option to enter the assessments for your students, which can include individual assessments such as essays, presentations and exams. A combination of these results will then determine the overall result of the class or multiple classes and the course or even multiple courses. Once again, documents can be produced and this information can also be exported into Excel format for you to do with as you please. Having the Advanced Academic module also means that there exists a link between the academic side of class that you've just seen and another module called the Teacher Portal. The Teacher Portal allows teachers, via this separate application to class, to enter the attendance, absence and assessment details of the students in their own or their colleagues' classes. This module is covered in a separate video entitled Teacher Portal.